Welcome to the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Today, we're looking at a paper from January 7th, 2025, titled PPTAgent, Generating and Evaluating Presentations Beyond Text to Slides. So this research introduces an AI PPT agent designed to automatically create presentations from documents. What's really interesting is that it goes beyond just text, focusing heavily on visual design and also structural coherence, which is how well the slides logically connect and flow. PPTAgent uses a two-stage edit-based approach, kind of like how a person might work, by first analyzing good examples and then using, essentially programmed instructions or code actions to build the slides consistently. They've also developed PPTEval to judge these presentations on content, design, and that crucial coherence. And if you want to dive deeper into how all this works, the authors have actually shared the complete implementation on GitHub. So you'll find the code for PPTAgent, their system for automatically generating these presentations, and also for PPTEval, that evaluation framework we just mentioned. Looks like they've included Docker files, which are really helpful because they package up all the software and its dependencies, so it's easier to get running on different computers, and also links to the dataset and documentation. Alright, so this first figure really sets the stage by comparing PPTAgent's edit-based generation, which we've been talking about, with a more common method called abstractive summarization. Abstractive summarization, it's when an AI tries to understand a document and then write a new, shorter version, like a summary for a slide, using its own words. The figure shows on the left, PPTAgent uses both a reference slide and a document to create a visually appealing slide. In contrast, the abstractive summarization approach on the right, using only the document, tends to produce slides that are heavy on text and lack good design, leading to issues with coherence. Okay, so building on that idea of an edit-based approach, this next figure gives us a much more detailed look at the PPTAgent workflow. It's broken down into two main stages. First, there's stage 1, called presentation analysis. This is where PPTAgent takes a reference presentation, a good example, and starts by doing something called slide clustering. This means it groups similar slides together, like all the title slides, or all the slides with bullet points. Then, it performs schema extraction. A schema, in this context, is like a blueprint or a defined structure for each type of slide, figuring out what kinds of elements, like text or images, typically go where. Then, we move to stage 2, presentation generation. Here, PPTAgent uses the document you want to make a presentation from, along with the understanding it gained in stage 1. It starts with outline generation, creating a plan for what each new slide will cover and which reference slide style it should use. Finally, there's slide generation itself. This is an iterative process where PPTAgent actually builds the slides, using specific actions to place text and images, and importantly, it includes a feedback loop for, self-correction, which is its ability to check for errors and try to fix them on its own. Okay, so after PPTAgent goes through those two stages we just discussed, presentation analysis and presentation generation, to actually create a set of slides, we need a way to judge how good they are. That's where this next figure comes in, showing the PPTEval process. It starts with the evaluation target, which is simply the presentation PPTAgent produced. This presentation is then given to what's called an MLLM judge. An MLLM, or multimodal large language model, is a type of AI that can understand and process different kinds of information at once, like text and images. This MLLM judge then assesses the presentation based on those three key dimensions we touched on earlier: content, design, and coherence. As the figure shows, it gives a score from 1 to 5 for each, along with specific feedback. Like, for design, it might say cohesive design, but overlaps reduce appeal. For coherence, it also looks at the extracted logical structure of the presentation. This whole process helps to give a really detailed picture of the presentation's quality. Right, so we've talked about how PPTAgent analyzes reference presentations, and how PPTEval, with its multimodal large language model judge, assesses the final output. This next figure, figure 7, gives us a visual for something we touched on earlier: The idea of slide clusters. Remember, this is part of Stage 1, Presentation Analysis, where PPTAgent groups similar slides. Here we see examples like a structured overview with bullet text for listing key points, a diagrammatic workflow picture for showing processes, a text and visuals interaction slide, and a results summary text slide. This clustering helps PPTAgent understand different slide types and their typical layouts. Alright, so we know PPTAgent clusters slides and PPTEval uses a multimodal large language model judge to score them. Figure 6 here gives us a really clear picture of what those scores mean in practice, specifically for the content and design dimensions we've mentioned. For example, under content, a slide might get a score of 1 if there's a significant lack of content. A score of 3 could be given if, say, the content is a bit tedious and lacks image support, but a 5, the top score, means the content is impactful and well supported by relevant images. Similarly, for design, a score of 2 might indicate a very basic, monochromatic look, while a 4 suggests a harmonious design but with some minor flaws. And a 5 here means the slide presents an engaging and consistent overall design. These examples really help visualize how the multimodal large language model judge arrives at its scores. We've seen how PPTAgent cleverly generates entire presentations by learning from examples, and how PPTEval uses that multimodal large language model judge to really dig into the quality of content and design. The key here is not just making slides, but creating coherent, well-structured presentations. This is a big step for AI in handling complex creative tasks. Well, that's all for today's AI Research Roundup. Thanks for joining me. I'm Alex.